Ignoring most of the world. This is just going to be a very brief video today, which was triggered by a comment that someone left on one of my Taylor Swift videos. Someone from India was lamenting the fact that Taylor Swift didn't perform in India. As they put it, she proceeds to ignore India. I wonder if this was a consequence of the deal that was made with Singapore, that tax credits would be granted if she performed nowhere else in Southeast Asia. Now, I wouldn't consider India to be part of Southeast Asia, though certainly Southern Asia, but perhaps it was included. Does anyone know? If you do, let me know in the comments. Other artists have included India in their itinerary: U2, Coldplay, Metallica, Ed Sheeran, Dua Lipa, to name a few. Now, given the population size of Southeast Asia and Southern Asia, 6 shows by Taylor in total in Asia, all of them in Singapore, does seem grossly unfair. India alone contains about an eighth of the world's population, over 1 billion people. Africa's another region that Taylor didn't tour and is almost always neglected by artists. If artists do go to Africa, as Ed Sheeran did in 2019, it's usually only to South Africa. As far as I'm aware, Beyoncé's Renaissance Tour didn't step anywhere outside Europe and North America. Is this for economic reasons? Is it simply that it's just not financially viable? Is it due to a lack of available infrastructure and facilities? Is it over safety concerns? Are there political issues? It's a shame that so many of us in the West, and even though Australia is geographically very much in the East, it's still politically and culturally very much part of the Western world. It's a pity that so many of us in the West tend to overlook a vast part of the world, except those perceived as enemies, such as Russia and China, for example. In Australia, we are in fact required to look more positively upon China, which is, after all, our largest trading partner, and we're very much within China's own perceived sphere of influence. But, by and large, people in Africa and Asian nations are not given the opportunities that we're given to see the major performing artists in the world. Given the price of tickets to concerts such as the Eras Tour, many of us in the Western world can't afford to go either. Now multiply that by what it would be like for people in some of the poorer regions. Sure, I'll pay 10 years' wages to go and see Taylor Swift. Now, I don't know obviously what the actual figures would be, but you get the point. I can imagine, though, that someone like Taylor or Beyoncé could afford to include some of these other nations, even if it meant suffering a loss. I know, I guess that wouldn't be very good business. We Westerners would probably try to muscle in on the cheaper tickets too. I wouldn't put it past us. I'm sure there are financial, logistical and political difficulties to overcome when touring certain parts of the world. But I'm also sure that all of these could be overcome with some ingenuity, even if it involves some financial loss. Is that too much to expect?